Hello there. I want to share a story about a moment that changed my life forever. It is a story about a husband, a wife, and the heavy silence that sometimes fills a home when two people start to drift apart. I hope this story touches your heart and reminds you of the importance of real, honest connection. In our lives, we often forget that the small things are actually the big things. Now, let's talk about a man named Tyler and a woman named Emily. My name is Tyler Bennett. I am 40 years old. For my daily work, I deal with numbers and money as a financial planner. My job requires me to be very calm, even when things are stressful. I have to have a lot of patience to help people see their dreams come true. I always try to look at the long-term view of things rather than just what is happening right now. I have always lived my life by one simple rule. Trust and respect are things you must give and receive equally. You cannot have a bridge with only one side built. If one person stops building, the whole thing falls down. My wife is Emily Bennett. She is 37 years old and works as a fashion buyer, picking out beautiful clothes for people to wear. She is very smart and likes to do things her own way. But lately, something in our home felt different. She was spending more and more of her time with a new group of friends instead of being with me and our family. One of those friends is Vanessa Clark. Vanessa is 38, very outgoing and very loud. She was always whispering in Emily's ear, telling her that she needed to put her own wants first, no matter what. Vanessa thought that being happy meant always doing what you want, even if it hurt others. Emily and I had been married for 12 long, beautiful years. We built a life that was quiet and very comfortable. We were not the kind of people who yelled or had big fights every week. We were steady and kind. But over the last few months, a wall started to grow between us. Emily became distant and cold. It felt like she was physically there, but her heart was somewhere else. Our family dinners, which used to be full of laughter and stories about our day, started to feel like boring business meetings where no one wanted to talk. Instead of holding hands on the couch, she was busy with girls' nights. Our plans for the weekends were often canceled at the last minute because she had something else to do. When we did talk, her answers were very short and quick. I would ask her if everything was okay, and she would just give me a small, empty smile. She would say, "I am just figuring some things out, Tyler." Then came one Friday evening I will never forget. I walked to the front door after a long day at work. There, sitting in the hallway, were two large, packed suitcases. My heart sank. Emily walked down the stairs, carrying one more bag. She had a look on her face that was very firm, like she had made up her mind. "I am going to stay somewhere else for a while," she said. I stood there and looked at her. I nodded my head slowly. "For how long?" I asked. "I do not know," she replied. "I just need some space to breathe." I looked at her for a long moment. I could see it in her eyes. She was waiting. She expected me to get angry. She expected me to drop to my knees and beg her to stay. She probably thought I would ask 100 questions about where she was going or who she would be with. But I did not do any of those things. Instead, I did the hardest thing I have ever done. I quietly stepped to the side. I reached out, opened the front door for her, and stood back. "I hope you stay safe," I said softly. Emily stopped. She frowned at me, looking confused. "That is all you're going to say?" she asked. I looked her right in the eyes and answered from my heart. "I do not want to stop someone who has already decided to leave." She looked completely surprised. "Aren't you even going to ask where I am going?" I shook my head. "Emily, if you wanted me to know, you would have told me." She stood perfectly still in the doorway. For the first time that night, she did not look so sure of herself. She looked small and uncertain. "You really aren't going to fight for me?" she whispered. I let out a long sigh. I have been fighting for us for months now. I planned special dates. I asked you what was wrong. I tried so hard to talk to you. But every time, you just kept saying everything was fine. She looked down at the floor. "I guess I did do that," she said quietly. "I love you, Emily," I said, "but I cannot keep chasing someone who is already walking away." We stood there in silence for what felt like forever. Then she picked up her suitcase and walked out into the cool night air. I stayed by the doorway and watched her. She walked to her car and opened the trunk. Then she just stopped She stood there for almost a whole minute without moving. Slowly, she closed the trunk. She had not put the suitcase inside. She turned around and walked back toward the house. "I thought you would stop me," she said as she reached the porch. I looked at her with a calm face. "I wanted you to choose to stay. Not because I begged you to, but because you actually wanted this marriage." Tears started to roll down her cheeks. "I have been listening to too many people," she cried. "My friends kept telling me I deserved more excitement. They kept telling me that if you really loved me, you would chase after me and fight to keep me." I nodded. "Love is not a game. Emily, it should not be a test to see how much someone will hurt to keep you." She began to cry harder. "I am so sorry. I forgot how much you've been trying." That night, we did not solve everything, but we did something better. We finally had the honest, deep conversation we have been avoiding for so long. Emily told me how she let other people's opinions change, how she saw our marriage. I told her how much it hurt to be disappointed every day and how lonely I felt, even when she was in the room. Healing takes time. It was not easy to build that trust back up, but for the first time in a very long time, we were both working on it together. Sometimes people ask me why I just watch her leave without asking questions. I tell them that sometimes the biggest way to show love is not by holding someone tight. It is by giving them the freedom to decide if they want to come back on their own. When someone realizes your silence is not because you do not care, but because you respect them, that is when they finally hear what you've been trying to say all along. Every marriage has its quiet moments, but we learn that those moments are exactly when we need to speak the most. We are moving forward now, one step at a time, with more kindness and much more understanding than we ever had before. Building our bridge again is hard, but seeing you choose to stay makes every single moment worth it in the end. It is about choosing each other every day.